Good evening.
Yes, good evening to the aspirants and the students of the SLW722. Welcome to my virtual class. Today, that is the 12th April 2023, the second unit. Yes, what I posted on the screen, can you read it? Is it visible to you?
Yes, it's visible. Welcome to the students of SLW722 for my virtual class on 12th April 2023 from 9:10 p.m. to 10:20 on Cisco WebEx platform with my bro link. Professor Dr. Mohammed Hussain,
Saheb Hussain.
Professor of Law, South, Mwanza, Tanzania.
Yes, thank you very much. And today is the second unit that we would like to begin it. That is the United Nations Human Rights Promotion System. Promotion and protection, they go simultaneously. See, in the beginning, there may be a protection and promotion. But generally, first comes the protection, next comes the promotion. Are you following me?
Yes, Prof.
And if you see your syllabus, it is clearly mentioned. Yes, now I'm opening it. It is now going to see on the screen the syllabus. Oh, this why this is another thing that I clicked it. No, this is the UN syllabus course outline. Better I say course outline. That is a very good way. Yes, the course outline, and you could see now what is given there. United Nations Human Rights Protection System and Promotion System. In the both the way, it goes together. Actually, it is a protection system. It's not the promotion. In general, that you will say, okay, I will show you the another one so that you could know it, whether it is a promotion or protection. Yeah. So it is go together, what I want to say. Is it clear?
Yes.
Which come first? Which come first?
Which,
Promotion come first or protection come first?
protection should come first.
Mm-hmm.
Then you protect something, then you promote it.
Okay. So, this is all the peace, dignity, and equality and the healthy planet. And these are the things that you will make it out when you want to go through in the forced labor or devastating situation, and what would be the fate of the people, those who are displaced with the war or internal conflicts. So in that way that we want to say how indigenous people forced displacement and their protection and promotion of the thing, how it will be done. And that is the primary function of the peace agreement and the UNO. So now let us see how it can work together. So here the children from the indigenous Mbara people had been displaced by the armed conflict in Colombia by 2006, and forced displacement is doubly catastrophic for the indigenous communities closely linked to the land. So, the UN Declaration on the Rights of the Indigenous People states that indigenous people have the right to the full enjoyment as a collective or as individuals of all human rights and fundamental freedoms as recognized in the Charter of the United Nations, the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights, and international human rights law. Who are the indigenous people? Yes?
Indigenous people?
Yeah.
Where?
Who are called indigenous people?
Indigenous people are people who are found within that location.
The territory, location, they did not migrated from other country. Their forefathers, they born in that same area.
Yes.
That is called indigenous people. And the indigenous people should not be thrown out when the country developed in advanced stage. Because in general, indigenous people should stay in the forest earlier. And they would migrate from one place to another place like a gypsies. And they will form by clearing the bushes and they live like the gypsies. And sometimes they will be settled in the proper places. And those people are said to be the indigenous people. When the country advanced over there, and their right should be protected. For instance, you take the Maasai, they used to stay in the Ngorongoro crater. Because they made the crater, they are displaced. They said, better we will give the suitable place to you in other locality, but you vacate it. Because it is very near to the animals. Of course, animals fear of the Maasai, not the Maasai fear of the animals. Am I right?
Yes.
So, they will be evacuated. Of course, compensation is paid. There is a case law is there. They file a case. The compensation which is given is not adequate and so on and so forth. But anyway, because of the flourishing of the tourism, they made in such a way. And still, when you are going towards the crater, and you could see, still the houses are there when you are approaching to the crater. Even now also, they will take their ingombe, means their cows and bulls and whatever the living stock for drinking water in the craters. Are you following me? Say yes or no.
Yes, we are following.
Because there is no water near to the place, that's why they will go to there. And here when you say the term human rights was mentioned 7 times in the UN's founding charter. If anybody will ask you to test you, did you study the international human rights law? Yes. Can you tell me that human rights how many times is uttered in the UN charter? Mimi Sujui.
7 times.
If you say Sujui, you say Kijiji him too, Shamba him too. You don't know how many times it is come over there and they're useless. Perhaps your Mohammed is useless because it is he who has to tell you. So the blame comes to whom?
The professor.
So it is 7 times is that mentioned in the UN Charter. And the UN Charter is the first charter and it is made the UN Declaration of the Human Rights, and there principles that brought human rights into the realm of international law, in the international organization, international relations, international system. And since then, the organization has diligently, see the wordings, the organization has diligently protected the human rights through the legal instruments and on the ground activities. So first comes the protection. So better we write promotion instead of we can say protection. Of course, when you say protection, automatically you will come the promotion. The protection system. So the UN charters make the protection for all the human rights through their legal instruments and on the ground activities. So how does the UN promote and protect human rights? See, they use the word promote and protect the human rights. Of course, they promote it and protect it. Sometimes they protect it and promote it. Now, sometimes it gets difficult to make it out. Which come first? Egg come first or chicken come first? Hen come first or egg come first? It is a tussle. Because if you say how the egg will come without the hen, but how the hen will
Not
come
possible.
without the egg? Because egg hatching only the chickens will come. So,
Yes.
how does the UN protect and promote or promote and protect the human rights? So, Office of the Commissioner of the Human Rights, that is the OHCHR, having the many regional offices in entire area. Office of the High Commissioner for the Human Rights, that is OHCHR, and headquarters in Geneva with many regional offices. The Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights has led responsibility in the UN system for the promotion and protection of human rights. See, we cannot separate them. We cannot separate them because who will be the first? Your parents, mother or father? Answer is both.
Both.
Answer is both.
Both.
So, protection and promotion together will go. And the office supports the human rights components of peacekeeping mission in several countries. Which office is? OHCHE, if I not be mistaken. That is OHCHR. That is Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. I don't know whether you know it or not. One of the teaching staff of the South is the Commissioner for the Human Rights in Dodoma. South teaching staff. Do you know him?
Professor Kennedy?
No, he went to the international organization, Bana. You know. I say South.
South. Unfortunately,
Dr. Masanja.
I don't know.
Thomas Masanja.
Dr. Oh.
Still he is there
That's
as an assistant commissioner, something like that. But he said he is going to come
great.
back. But I told him, once you got the taste of the blood of the, if a lion got the blood taste, it will not come back. Am I right?
Yes.
Do you think that Kennedy will come back and teaching? Do you think that Balozi, our Andrews Kilangi, do you think that Ashaji Magiro, she came back to the teaching? Once I asked her when she was there in the UDSM, where I was working, Madam, are you back to teaching? He said, certainly. Only practically it will not be possible. Theoretically it can be. Am I right?
After session, he has finished.
Yes? Speak. Speak.
Problem.
No, I could not hear your voice. Speak. Are you speaking?
To you, there was a network problem.
I told you, you have to sit in such a place where the network is more. If it is necessary, You have to sit in the Kilimanjaro peak.
Now, okay.
See, you know that in which place the network is good, because generally you speak with the people. So in that place that you have to sit, number one. Number two, don't keep only 100, 1000 and 500 data. Keep at least 2000 or 3000 data. It's more powerful. So now let us come to our point. Once in the UN system, and whenever a person gone, and don't expect his return to the village or Mijini or Taifa. So now let us come to the point. Office supports the human rights components of the peacekeeping mission. Several countries, in addition to the regional offices, has HR centers. Country working stands alone offices and human rights advisors all over the world. Now you may ask me, sir, who will finance them? What is the revenue? Answer is, each country will contribute. Is it clear?
Yes, Prof.
That is the point.
Each country contributes.
Each country will contribute depending upon their,
Okay.
and it is decided by the UN General Assembly. When your contribution comes, we are poor. When other activities comes, we are rich. No, they will ascertain it. How much the contribution should come from Tanzania. Yes, Tanzania should be more because the natural resources are more. And in addition to that, harbor is there, and which is having a lot of revenue. Okay, now let us come to the High Commissioner for the Human Rights regularly comments on the situations in the world relating to the human rights issues and has the authority to investigate any situation and publish the report on them. Once I asked Thomas Masanja, what do you do actually? Then he said, sir, whenever the anywhere human rights violation would be there in Tanzania, and we will get the complaint. If there is no complaint also, by the media it will come out, and we go and will take all the inquiries, and we will see that the report would be prepared and sent. If necessary, they will ask the perpetrator to be behind the bar also by applying the human rights centers by lodging a complaint on behalf of the victims. Am I right?
Yes, Prof.
Yes, sometimes no, even a court suo moto issue the notice when there is a lot of atrocities going on in a particular area regarding a tribe. So, UN special rapporteurs are there on the right to adequate housing. Lailani Farha warns of the widespread homelessness. Of course, she's one of the lady adequate housing. They want to make it out because what are the three basic necessities? I ask the question. What are the three basic necessities?
Food, shelter, and medication.
When you're gonjwa, medication will come. Number one, food. Number two, clothes. Number three, home.
Home, sure. Okay.
Yeah, generally these are the medical. Of course, when these three are in good conditions and you don't become gonjwa, ill. But any component is misleading or any component is missing, yeah, definitely. Suppose if you don't have the clothes, but you have the house, but still you need the clothes. Am I right? So now
Yes.
OHCHR regional offices in Africa OHCHR offices in Africa, including the 4 regional offices and centers. Yes, now we'll further go through. In our earlier classes also, we discussed this. Where are these 4 regional offices are there? But later on that we will also discuss it. Then in America, the offices, United Nations High Commissioner for the Human Rights, and has a liaison officers in the New York City is there. And again, OCHR's South American regional office there, Santiago, Chile, they're also there. Again, the regional office for the Central America in Panama City, Panama is there. And in Asia, the Pacific, the OCHR has a Pacific regional office in Suva, Fiji. And again, the regional office for the Southeast Asia in Bangkok, Thailand. It is there. Because Europe and Central, of course, Southeast Asia, that means even India also comes under it. So it is in Bangkok. And the Europe and the Central Asia, the OCHR has a regional offices for Europe in Belgium. And where our, is it the Belgium where our Kilangi went over there? Yes, it's the Belgium. And the regional offices for the Central Asia for in Bishkek, that is the Kyrgyzstan. In the Middle East, the officer, the OHCHR has a regional office for the Middle East, the North African in Beirut, Lebanon. And the North Africa, it is the OHCHR regional offices for the North African is in Tunis. And in the human rights councils are there. So now why I am giving all those things means, these are all the offices will promote and protect the human rights in their jurisdiction. And the comes the human rights councils are concerned. Human rights councils, which was established in 2006 and meets in Geneva. Where is Geneva?
In Switzerland.
It is in Switzerland. It replaced the 60 years old UN Commission for the Human Rights. 60 years old Human Rights Commissions were there. It will be replaced by the now Human Rights Council. And UN Commission on Human Rights as the key independent UN intergovernmental body responsible for the human rights. So after the CHR later on in the 2006, it is Human Rights Council has emerged over there. It is called HRC. What is this HRC? Which type of abbreviation it is? HRC. I told you already 4 types of the abbreviations. HRC come in which category? When you pronounce the each word separately, we say it is initialism. When you pronounce the word in a one word by using like South, we are not pronouncing S-A-U-T. We pronounce South. When you pronounce like a word of all the initials, then we can say it's an acronym. But when you're writing the February, F capital, E small, B small, full stop, that is called also abbreviation, but it's a third category. We say it is a shortening. And I will, honorable, you will, we don't write the total, but you write I apostrophe I-L-L. That is called contraction. So there are 4 types of the abbreviations are there. What are they? Number 1?
Shortening.
Initialism.
Acronym.
Initialism Kwanzaa. Pili acronym. Ta to shortening. In a contraction. Repeat.
Initialism. Shortening. acronym,
sequence, a sequence na potia. I told you the beginning is the initialism, second one is the acronym, third is a shortening, and fourth is a contraction. Repeat.
initialism, acronym, shortening, and contraction.
But I say first, second, third, and fourth. You measure. Okay, doesn't matter. At least you give the answer. Okay, now let us go to the another point here. So each state party to the treaty has an obligation to take the steps to ensure that everyone in the state can enjoy the rights set out in the treaty. Which treaty? UN, United Nations Declaration of the Human Rights. There's the first charter,
UN,
and where India is also a party and Tanzania also a party, and they ratified it and they signed it and they domesticated in their municipal legislations the provisions of the international instruments. So every state should have to follow the declaration, treaties. Now, declaration and treaty, they do have the different meaning. Declaration made by the UN and treaties made by the regional parties, regional organizations, and with the help of the United of these states, either bilateral treaty or a multilateral treaty in consonance with the provisions which are prevailing over there in the UN Charter. So that is the way we can make it out. So now the treaty bodies are composed of the independent experts of a recognized competence in the human rights who are nominated and elected for the fixed renewable terms for the 4 years by the state parties. A state will represent in the UN who are going to be a part representative over there. But generally, the person who is having the well versed in the human rights and the external affairs, and such persons will be given a chance to represent in the UN, especially the legal department and the law, a layman, not layman, a legal fraternity. So the human rights treaty body system, how it can work. Special procedures of the Human Rights Council are prominent, independent experts working in a voluntary basis who examine, monitor, publicly report and advise on human rights from a thematic or a country-specific perspective. And sometimes they will do voluntarily also. And sometimes the members are the ex officios. And they will be rewarded with the honorarium, those who are working in that manner. And then comes to the matter of the UNDG Human Rights Working Group, that UN Development Group, Human Rights Working Group advances the human rights mainstream efforts within the UN development system. So there is a human rights treaties, there is a human rights council, there is a human rights working group, and these all will make the development of the system of UN. And the special advisors on the prevention of the genocide and the responsibility to the protect. Of course, the Rwanda genocide is there, and where that still the cases are going on in Rwanda genocide in Arusha. In addition to the regional human rights, human and people rights court also there. And we also find the East African court also there in the Arusha. Am I right?
Yes.
To my knowledge, there are three types of the courts there in Arusha now. One is genocide, another is the human rights, people's rights court, another is genocide cases, will be hard over there. And then to alert the relevant actors where there is a risk of genocide and to advocate, mobilize the appropriate actions. Of course, now the genocide activity will become a rare phenomena. Of course, would not be now that much evident, but one should have to take care of it, see that it will not be occurrence again. The special advisors and the responsibility to protect the leads the conceptual, political, institutional, and operational development of the responsibility to protect it. Who? The UN Development Group, the Human Rights Council, and the special advisors for those who are well versed, having an expert, they try to look after like a watchdog and see the situation, and depending upon the political, institutional, and operational development of the responsibility to protect the human rights, to protect and promote the human rights. See, without protecting, you cannot promote it. When you protect it, then only the promotion will come. When you don't protect your property, there is no question of promotion. Am I right?
Yes.
So, first, the hen tried to protect its chickens from the eagle or crow. Then it will promote to grow. So, what legal instruments helps the UN protect human rights? And almost 70 years ago, the UN General Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights. It is the old version. Now, when you count 2023, it is established in 1946. So now you can count it, how many years it will be there. Human rights as a common human rights standard for all and everyone and everywhere. The human rights are for everyone and everywhere. The Universal Declaration of the Human Rights and two covenants, these are very much important, these two covenants. These two covenants have given the teeth to execute the human rights violations. What are the two covenants? Number one, Universal Declaration of the Human Rights 1948 was the first legal document, which is the mother of all the instruments, and generally agreed to the foundation of the international human rights law. Now it got its enforcement with the teeth of these two covenants. Number one, International Covenant on the Civil and Political Rights. That's the first covenant, which have the great impact to implement the human rights violation. And the second international covenant is on economic, social, and cultural rights. These two covenants, and with the three instruments, because UN Declaration and two covenants become three. The three instruments from the so-called International Bill of Human Rights. And these two covenants has given the strong teeth for the implementation of the human rights activities. Otherwise, the human rights document is merely a piece of paper. But these covenants made them to implement it, impact it, take an action, and that is the executory machinery is there. And if it is not followed, then what the sanctions would be there. So other instruments are a series of the international human rights treaties and other instruments adapted since 1945 have expanded the body of international human rights law. So if you happen to see in that way how the human rights, indigenous people, the rights will be protected from one after another by passing the different covenants and the different charters. When you go further, if you jump it, because these are all the many other things are there, and where we can skip it, and then we can come to the Secretary General, and the Secretary General appoints a special representative who advocates against the major human rights violations. And he is also the protection and promotion of the human rights and special representative of the Secretary General for the Children's and Armed Conflict and a special representative for the Secretary General for the Sexual Violence and Conflict and a special representative for the Secretary General on the Violence Against the Children. See, there are three wings are there. Number one, children and the armed conflict and sexual violence in conflict. Then violence against the children is there, and the special representative of the Secretary General will be appointed. So in the 2018, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres established the International Commission of Inquiry envisioned by the Agreement on the Peace and Reconciliation in Mali. Can you tell me, Antonio Guterres belongs to which country? If I not be mistaken, he is from Poland. Is it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, because we read somewhere. That's the reason. But anyway, subject to correction. So it is he who has maintained the Guterres, established the International Commission of Inquiry envisioned by the Agreement on Peace and Reconciliation in Mali. He appointed Lina Sunda, Sweden, Vinod Bolwal, Mauritius, and Simon Munzu, Cameroon, to serve as the commissioners and selected Mr. Sood as the chair. So he is appointed, and this commission will work on with what view that appointment they established the respect of the signatory parties to the agreement. The commission of inquiry was to advance national reconciliation and support the Malian authorities in the Mali efforts in the fight against the impunity. Why the disturbance has happened over there? What is the impunity in the Mali? The commissioners who are serving in their personal capacities investigated serious violations of international human rights and humanitarian law committed in the Mali since January 2012 and submitted a report in the Secretary General. The highest aspirations, a call to action for the human rights. So whenever such violations are there, and the Secretary General will appoint the commission, and these commission will be hailing from the different countries, and one of them is the chairman. And these people should work and investigate, and their investigation, no country would stop them to get the information, and they will submit the report to the General Council, General Assembly or Security Council or General Secretary of the Security Council. On 24th February 2020, Secretary General Antonio Guterres launched a call to action for the human rights, and the human rights are our ultimate tool to help the society grow in freedom. If the human rights are not there, there is no growth. There is no, on the planet Earth, the peaceful way of living. And he told the member states on the opening day of the UN Human Rights Council's the 43rd session in Geneva, as he detailed a 7-point blueprint for positive change and echoing the call for the change. High Commissioner for the Human Rights, Michael Bachelet, said that although the threats to human rights, development and peace were on the rise, so were the practical, actionable solution to these issues should be there.
Tanzania.